Good afternoon. I'm Laura Zervos, and welcome to this month's Lending Hearts class. I'm so excited to be here today. We have so many exciting recipes, and usually we start off with some type of hors d'oeuvre or appetizer, and we'll have an entree. Today, though, we're going to do all dips. I just thought it'd be a great idea to do some dips. And hold on here 1 second. I just want to make sure I have everything. I don't have the blade for this. So today, it's over here. So today I'm really excited because we have several dips that we're going to be making. They all fit the Mediterranean principles. We have walnuts, we have olive oil, we have black olives, red peppers, artichokes, tomatoes, black beans, so many good things that fit the bill for the Mediterranean eating pattern. So to give us all of those anti-inflammatory benefits, remember just a small serving of walnuts, and we have them in several of our dips today, will give us 2,300 milligrams of those omega-3 fatty acids, the ones that are mostly found in fish like cod, tuna, salmon, sardines, herring, which we might not get all those, but if you're eating a plant-based eating pattern, walnuts are certainly a good place to include those. So let's get started. I will start talking because we always try to pack so many in today. Today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dips that we're going to make. So we'll get started and I'll keep talking. I am just missing our blade for the for our first dip. Okay, so now we're ready to go. Just getting some of the prep beforehand. So let's get started. Our first one that we're going to make is a lemon caper dill dip. So it's really nice. It's going to have some Greek yogurt. So let's get that in there. Just going to adjust the camera so you could see what I'm doing. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix our yogurt. And we have some capers. And if you're not familiar with capers, they're a small pungent berry. They have their own unique taste. We're probably going to use about 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to reserve some for the garnish at the end. So I'm just going to probably put about 3/4 of those in there. And we're going to crush some pepper in here. And our walnuts and our lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. And this could be really nice. This could be for vegetables. It could be for pita chips. Has a unique taste. But I think carrots, cucumbers would all be really nice in here. And it comes together really quickly. That's what I like about that. We're also going to add a little bit of olive oil. So just get it in there and whisk it. And that's really going to make this light and airy. And I don't know if you know that some of the Greek dips like tzatziki, there is a lot of olive oil on that too. You typically don't think, oh, I didn't realize we were adding olive oil to yogurt, but you can, and it just gives it that light, airy texture. So do that. And then we're going to add a little bit of our dill to it. So I have some fresh dill here just to give it, to kick up that flavor a little bit. Here. And we'll just give it a fresh chop. And that always makes a nice garnish. And look how easy and quick that comes together. And you may even remember, if you remember, we had a yogurt and ricotta dip, and we had served it in something like this. You may want to also, we have a dip that we're going to be using later that we're going to be putting in our glass bowl like this. You may want to put it into a more shallow glass bowl so there's more surface area and everybody gets some of this dill. But right now, I think that looks really good. And we could serve that with some pita chips, some crostini, or some fresh vegetables, radishes, cucumbers, whatever you think, even some scallions. Let's get ready for our next recipe. Get that cleaned up. So our next one is going to be a dish called muhammara. And this dish actually originated in Syria, but you'll see it in a lot of Mediterranean restaurants or Mediterranean dishes. Turkish, Lebanese, even Greek, everybody has their version. There's a few ingredients that are particular to this, and if you don't have them, you could also get them at a Turkish specialty store, a Syrian specialty store, any type of Mediterranean specialty store. One ingredient that they do have is a pomegranate molasses. You will always see that in most recipes for that. I wasn't able to get it, but I was able to make my own. You could also do that at home with some pomegranates, maybe even some lemon juice. And then I also added a little bit of molasses and just combined that all together to try to get that same flavor. So let's get started on that. I'll just pull the food processor over here so you can see. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to, and I did it before class started, so I will show that. I'll bring that over here to you. The first thing that we're going to do is roast some red peppers. You could certainly use canned, but roasting them fresh, it's cost effective. Sometimes the one in the jar can be very expensive, but right now, as we're in spring, these red peppers are really, they're at their peak of season. So that means they're the best cost and the most nutrition. So what I just did is I roasted them in the oven, in a high oven around 400 degrees for about 10 minutes. And then we just peeled the skin right off, because remember that skin is not edible and it can cause some gastric upset for some people. We just take it off real nicely. And I've already let these cool. And see, it's nice and soft. And this is actually, you've probably seen, this is actually just what the pimento is, right? When we see that inside of our olives. So we're just going to do that. And then I'm going to give them a quick slice and we'll add them to our food processor. Here. And again, and you could do this too, when it comes right out of the oven, you could always rinse them under some cold water, or some people like to put them in a plastic bag and rub them together and the skin comes off real nicely. But it's coming off pretty good for us here too. And don't be afraid to char them. That's going to just make it come off even easier. And a lot of times you'll see in restaurants where they might be short on time and they're doing this to order, they will actually oil them down, stick them under a broiler, or they will just use a small blowtorch like you would for making creme brulee. Another one here. And you see how nice and black we got that. There's a couple things today that I charred. We also come for because we typically move that. But again, nobody wants to bite into a big piece of skin and then dip. And you don't have to cut them before you place them in the food processor, but it'll just, sometimes you will get large chunks if you don't. You'll eventually get there, but you might liquefy the other peppers that are smaller if you do that. So it's best to have like a small uniform size that we're throwing in here if you are concerned about that, the texture of the final product. Okay, so that's all we have here. Move that aside. Okay, so we're going to, yeah, you could just put these in saran wrap and, or a, like I said, some people like to do it in a plastic bag. And then you just discard all the skins. Okay, so we'll put all this in our food processor and then I'll adjust my camera there. And we're also going to add our spices. We have some, let me show you here. Let me move my cutting board over so you could see everything I'm putting in here. Okay. So we have our red pepper. We're also going to add our breadcrumbs. Just about 3/4 of a cup. And then have some fresh lemon juice. We have our pomegranate molasses. in there. Red pepper flakes. And I also, for this one, I used the Aleppo red pepper. And you can see that it's just a little bit different than crushed red pepper. It's a lot more finely chopped, and it has a unique smell. It has a much more, if you can use crushed red peppers, you can make that substitution, but this has a unique flavor. So I encourage you to try it. You could get it at any spice store, probably even your grocery store. Aleppo pepper, we're going to add that. And then also our cumin and garlic. So you could just tell by all these ingredients, all these ones that have antioxidants, like our garlic, like the cumin. Remember, we had done we did our series with some foods for Cinco de Mayo, and we used the cumin in there, and we talked about the anti-inflammatories, not only cumin, coriander, oregano, and cinnamon. And we're also going to put this in, and we also we have our garlic, and let's just that started, and we'll just give these a few pulses. And it's coming together to make a real nice paste. Let me adjust this so you could see. It's coming together to make a real nice paste. Let's see. And we're going to add our walnuts and our olive oil. And I add the olive oil to this. I like to just drizzle it in when we have that this opening here at the top. So let's just that came together really nicely and really quickly, especially if you do the peppers ahead of time, or even shortcut, if you wanted to buy a jarred roasted red pepper, you can. But I encourage you to try to do it in your own kitchen, your own oven. I think you'll find that it's kind of something fun to do. And then we'll also drizzle a little bit more olive oil over that. Just this, you could see. So not totally smooth. It's a little bit, it's almost like the texture of the red pepper feta dip that we made a long time ago in one of our classes. So it does have some, you do see a little chunks. It's not completely smooth, and that's the red pepper. We could keep pulsing, but I think it's really good right where it's at. We could garnish this with some fresh mint or some parsley, and then I'll also just drizzle a little. I always like to drizzle just a little bit of olive oil on top of this, and then you could always add any kind of garnish you want. So we'll just set this one aside so we could look at them all when we're done. We just move all of this prep over here. We already have 2 dips down. Get the food processor out of our way. Okay. All right, so we'll move on to our next dip, which is a lot of fun, and it's really a good time to make it. If you have been reading lately on the internet, or you're in touch with your produce, the times of year, we are still in the California avocado season. So avocados are really readily available to us right now. They're at the peak of season, which, like we said, with the red peppers, which means they are the most cost-effective time to buy them, and they're at peak ripeness. So we know avocados are always a gamble. Sometimes you get one that is really hard, but it's best to, when you're selecting them in the grocery store, is to give them a little squeeze. If they give a little bit back, if they have just a little bit of tenderness, that's usually ready. If you get one and it's a little bit hard, you might want to just set it out on a windowsill or at room temperature. And in a few days, it should be ready for you. Keep checking on it. Once it is ripe, however, once it does reach that, you might want to refrigerate it, then it stops that ripening process. So we went ahead before class today and we did wash these off. Again, we want to remember that we don't want to introduce any of the germs from the outside of the skin inside to the flesh. So let's, actually, I'm going to change out this cutting board. Okay, so let's start with a fresh cutting board and we'll get our other prep out of the way. And the other thing I wanted to do, I forgot to, on our dill dip, I wanted to put our capers on top. So we'll just do a little capers on top just for the garnish. So we have a nice looking dip there. Okay, so let's get on to our avocado black bean dip. And first, what we're going to do, and where is order? Okay, so I like to do, whenever I make my guacamole, I like to use one of my older wooden mortar and pestle. It's just a great way to do it. Sometimes, you know, you could pulse it in a food processor if you're going for a very smooth avocado, but I like mine chunky. So I like to mash that by hand. Again, you want to make sure that you wash this beforehand before cutting it. And I think we have a couple of winners here. So they're beautiful. They're ready to go, nice and ripe, not hard at all. And we're just going to remove that. And we have 4 avocados and we're going to put a couple in, we're going to put 2, mash 2 together. And then the other 2 that we're just going to dice. So let's do that. And remember, the avocado is a great source of monounsaturated fat, high in oleic fatty acids. It's also the one that's found in olive oil, but the one that's in avocado oil, the reason avocado oil is so popular as well is because it has a much higher smoke point than olive oil. So if you are sauteing something or you're lightly, I don't want to say frying, but typically sauteing and it's going to take a little bit longer, you're going to want to use something with a higher smoke point, something with a lower smoke point. What does that mean? It's the point at which that oil turns black and then it gets on our food and it can change the taste. So it's good to remember, you know, certainly butter has an even lower smoke point. When you use clarified butter, like we have in some of our recipes, that does have a higher smoke point. But olive oil is good, but avocado is about 75 degrees. It could get a little bit hotter than that before it starts to smoke. And remember, we did, going back to our class where we had our Cinco de Mayo class a few years ago. We used the avocado oil to make our red enchilada sauce, and it gave it a beautiful sheen, and it really added to the viscosity and the sheen of that sauce versus olive oil, which would have been good, but it just added so much more body. So it's good to know. Of course, you know, you see some of these recipes online, and it says you could substitute, you know, just like we made a substitution at the beginning of class today with that the molasses, the pomegranate molasses, which we were able to make it on our own, right? And to get a similar product. But when you see things like a recipe substituting out a certain oil, always check because there might be a reason that they're using that certain oil. So I always make sure to, on my recipes, tell you what the substitutions could be and why, though, you would want to probably use the recommended one. And sometimes it doesn't matter. So just keep that in mind. And again, all the recipes will be on my website, laurazervos.com. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. We're going to get this started, so I'll adjust my camera for you, so you could see what we're doing here. And you just want to go real slow. If you go crazy in here, it's going to go all over the place. So just start slow. And you could also, again, like you could do this in a food processor, but I like to do this here. And once you just keep going slow, then you could keep adding some to it. The other thing you could do is use a fork and just mash it with a fork. But once you get it going, you know, you wouldn't want to add all of them at the same time. You're not going to get anywhere. So that's why I left 2 out. And we'll gradually keep adding them. But see how nice it's getting? It's mashing up real nice, but not going all over the place, and just give that a, there, okay. So we're just going to get these in there. Going nice and slow, working it in. And isn't it fun to get some of these older methods of doing things versus the food processor out? It's good to get some of these. Mortar and pestle's been around for a long time. I have several of them. I have some for when I want to do spices, the ones that are marble. I like my wooden one for this. But it could be very useful. Let's get that, scoop that back in there. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is just scoop that off of there. Set that aside, and we're going to put that in our bowl. And we're gonna add a little bit of lime juice to that. Okay, so let's do that. And then we're gonna, like I said, stir in just a little bit of our lime juice. We're gonna use probably 2 tablespoons in our whole recipe. We're just gonna add a little bit now, just to keep that from browning when we do the rest of it. I'm just gonna go like that too, just to keep it. See some on the side, just to cover it there so it does not brown. You see, for the most part, it's pretty smooth. We did a pretty good job of mashing that up. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to add that. We're going to add our spices. And again, a little bit of cumin, salt and pepper. Give that another stir. Then what we're going to do with our other avocados is we're going to just cut them into small chunks. So let's do that. We're just going to cut these up like so. And you remember when we want to dice them, again, we got really lucky with these today. When you just want to dice them, you may want to just take a very good sharp paring knife, make a few cuts one way and then do it again. So you've got almost like a little grid going here. And then just turn it inside out, and all those will just, let's move this over here so you could see. They'll just pop right out for us, hopefully. And we have a nice dice. And then it gets all of your avocado out there as well. Wow, look at the little stone in that one. It's very small. Okay. Again, California avocado season starts early in May, and that's when you'll start seeing them go on sale, and that's when they're their peak, right? They're so versus trying to buy one at other times and have as much taste. This one is not as ripe as my other one. A little bit harder, but it's still gonna probably have a good taste. Those other 3 were very good. But I get so disappointed when I'm in the grocery store and they have them in the display and you grab them and they are so soft that you know that they're going to be black inside once you get them home. And I wish they would take them off of that display earlier. And we have our other one here. And again, the avocado, really great source of oleic acid, that fatty acid, which is monounsaturated. Oops, this one. Didn't think that one would come out as nice. Also, very good source of vitamin E. Okay. So also what we have in this recipe, this is one of my favorites. It's just so good this time of year, and it's just a little bit of a twist on guacamole. So the other thing is we're going to add some black beans, about a half a can, and I did rinse them. And we're going to wait a second because before class today, I was actually out on the grill and roasted some nice corn for us. If you don't have a grill available to you, you could certainly use, you could certainly use regular corn. But I thought, well, why not? While we're here, may as well roast it because it just gives it a whole nother flavor. Because corn is carbohydrate, right? It's one of our starchy vegetables. It resembles a starch more than like a starch like potato or bread versus lettuce or cucumbers or radishes. So it has that high starch content. So when we go to grill it, it just caramelizes and brings out all that sweetness. And so that's what you're going to get today. So I'm going to go ahead and do both of these. It could be, I typically, when I make this dip, equal parts of the beans and the corn, but we have the corn right now and it's starting to come into season in our area. Okay. And if you have a problem with chewing or swallowing or with your teeth and you're afraid to eat corn, I encourage you to try to just cut it off of there. And it's still wonderful. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe you're unable to bite it right off the cob. So this is just a really good alternative for that. So let us add that to our dip. This would be great with some, I like it with vegetables. I would definitely do carrot sticks and things like that, but you could also do pita chips. You could also do tortilla chips. And what I think what would make a really nice presentation would be a combination of the regular tortilla chips and also the black tortilla chips. I just think that would be really nice. And we're going to give this just a gentle stir. Just really going to turn it all together. So we already have our, let me put this so you can see what's going on here. We already have that, the dip base with the mashed avocado. So we just want to kind of fold this in. We still want to have some chunks of the other ones. So we don't want to mash all of that avocado. So just even if you give it a, turn it over, almost like a folding. There you go. And we have some cilantro that we're going to add. Give that a stir in there. We've got the cumin, the avocado. We've got a lot of great flavor going in here. And again, yes, it meets all of the principles of the Mediterranean diet. We have the corn, the beans, we have a legume, we have the avocados, we have the good fats in there. We have lemon juice, fresh herbs. So it's just a really, anti-inflammatory herb, just a great, and we also have some jalapeno, which we also know has some antioxidant properties. I probably have about half of an jalapeno in here fresh. I like to use fresh. You could certainly use pickled, but I just think fresh has a nice flavor. And you could adjust that if you feel like that might be too spicy for you. But what a nice dip that makes. Look, you could see all that roasted corn, the black beans. Oh, that looks amazing. Very, very nice. Okay. So we have that, and let's give it a little wipe down here. Typically like to prepare and serve in different bowls, but this is what we had today. Okay, so we have our black bean avocado corn dip, which is really nice. And you could add more lime juice too. So I would taste it, and you could always add more salt and pepper too, but I think this is going to be just right for you. So let's move this over to our other dips. So you have 3 nice dips so far. Next, we're going to do our layered Mediterranean dip. And this is really nice, and I think you'll like this one. Let me just move some of these aside. Corn. This aside here, and we'll get on to our next one. So it's just a great time. There's so many things going on for most people in the summer. And, you know, in private practice, I hear a lot of times that when I end a session with somebody and I always ask them, you know, do you have any barriers that are going to keep you from, you know, eating the way that you had intended to? And sometimes the biggest thing I hear is I have a lot of events to attend and it's hard to stay on my eating pattern. So I encourage you, if you are going to an event, if you are going to a grad party, a Father's Day, whatever, there's so many upon us. In May, we had Mother's Day, a lot of college graduations. Now we're going to come into the high school season and birthdays and everything else and summer barbecues, family reunions. Be the one to bring the healthy dip. You know, a lot of these dips are avocado dip. Yes, it's nice to be chilled, but it doesn't have any hazardous ingredients and it doesn't have mayonnaise. It doesn't have eggs. Our yogurt dip would definitely have to be refrigerated. And our red pepper dip would also hold very well. It does not have any quote unquote hazardous ingredients. Also, you know, they all have really great qualities. So just because you're going to a picnic or a celebration doesn't mean that you have to, you know, all of your good intentions will go away, you know, because if you remember, if you start, if you're adhering to a healthy eating pattern, you know, in your daily life, and then say, for example, on Friday, you start going, you know, well, it's Friday, I deserve a little treat. Sometimes we get that and we have that, you know, I'm ready to have some other food. You know, if we do eat differently, if we go so far off of our pattern on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that is 42% of our intake. So it could really undo all of that hard work that we've done all week long, and it could really throw a wrench into our wellness goals if we go so far off. If, say, for example, we're eating foods higher in saturated fat, sodium, and those kind of things, and calories, excess calories. So you really want to pay attention, and that's why I encourage you to try to find other alternatives for some of these. You know, I don't need to mention them, but there are a lot of dip recipes that people classically bring that may involve, you know, a lot of saturated fat. One that comes to mind is the buffalo chicken dip. Now, you have seen a lot of alternatives that lately using cottage cheese or using Greek yogurt in it. But, you know, with that, the cream cheese and the full fat dairy cheese and a ranch dressing that's typically high in saturated fat as well, you could really see how that would add up. And not that you cannot have some of these things, but if everything, say you're having a lot of saturated, you know, you're going off of that eating pattern on a Saturday or a Sunday at some of these celebrations, you know, one day could have a lot of saturated fat in it or a lot of sodium in it. So just want to be careful. And that's why I always encourage people to be the one to bring the vegetable dish or to bring something that is really within your eating pattern. So you always have something. I'm always cognizant of that too, you know, and I think we talked about it, you know, making some of our, you know, converting some of our daily recipes into appetizers and into hors d'oeuvres. So always a good idea. So let's get started on our next dish. It's a layered Mediterranean dip. And who wouldn't like this one? It has so much goodness into it. And again, so many great things that you could, this has Mediterranean written all over it. Before class, I went ahead and I made some hummus. So that is going to be on our bottom later. And let me just, we're going to do this last dish because I want you to see all the layers of it. So let me bring the prep over for that. Oh, right. So we have a lot goes into this one. This is I like to have recipes where you may have everything on hand, and you might have all these things on hand. We have red pepper, cucumbers, black olives, tomatoes, artichokes, feta cheese, parsley, yogurt, and hummus. So we have a lot of really nice things in here. Usually we have those on hand, but not always. So let's get started on that. And again, I made my hummus this morning right before class. And you could also use store-bought. That is okay. As well, I think we made several hummus recipes, and one of our classes, and it's not that hard, and I encourage you to try to make it yourself because there's some things that I don't like in my hummus. I do love garlic, but it's just not something I like in my hummus. You frequently see garlic in a lot of the recipes, and I just simply like mine with a little bit of tahini, which is sesame seed paste, and lots of lemon juice, lots of freshly squeezed lemon juice. And again, I'll use some extra virgin olive oil in that too. So that makes it just nice and airy. You could just see how light and fluffy it is. And this is going to be our base. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Again, really good complex carbohydrate food, high in fiber. Chickpeas are so versatile. So many different things you could add them to as well. Like if you have these ingredients on hand, we could have always made a red pepper hummus, or we could have made a black olive hummus or an artichoke hummus. And just stop there if you didn't have everything. So it's always good to have some of these around on hand, just so you could, if you have an event or an occasion where you need to bring something like this, it's readily available. You could serve it. I like to make a nice big, I think it's a nice idea to take some hummus and maybe put some carrots, celery, pepperoncinis, anything like that. That makes a really nice dip to take somewhere too. Okay, so after we put our hummus down, next we have it spread there, and then we're going to layer our tomatoes and cucumbers over top. So let's do that next. And I just used a cherry tomato today and just cut them up. You could use a regular tomato and just dice it. Right now, these cherry tomatoes are the way to go. They just have a lot of flavor in them until we hit tomato season. But when the summer tomatoes are in, this would be even better. And my cucumber, let's see right here. And again, I'm also using the mini cucumber until the summer cucumbers come in. For some reason, these are just bursting with flavor. And you just want to get a nice even layer there, just so you get some of these with every bite. And you can use a regular cucumber, of course. The other thing I like about the mini ones, is the seeds are very small. Okay, and then after we do that, we're going to take a little bit of yogurt and put it on our vegetables. And I just have some plain Greek yogurt. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of stir first, and then just give it a couple dollops so it's easy to spread. And we're just going to just real gently try to give it a little spread. You don't have to get it perfect, but if you could spread it all over this first layer of vegetables, just so you get a little bit of everything with every bite. So there we go. We're getting it there. That's why I would try, instead of putting one thing in the middle, just give it a few dollops all over. And then you only have a little bit to spread for each area. Right, so we have that layer. After we over, you put a little salt and pepper on this. Some fresh black pepper. Okay, next we're going to do our artichoke hearts. Okay, And then we have our roasted red pepper. Just get some of this over here. We'll just spread this out a little bit. Just do a little bit of feta. So again, think about the artichokes, the red peppers definitely have all of our have plenty of vegetables. We have our fermented dairy product and the yogurt and also the feta cheese. And you know the hummus, we have the legumes there. So this is really a nice complete dish. And then we're just going to put a little bit of parsley on top. So it's certainly color too. So nice to take to any of your summer celebrations. And some Kalamata olives that I chopped right before class. Just put this in. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Certainly colorful. So this doesn't have to be for summer either. This looks like a nice holiday dish too. We didn't do this on our holiday class. And you know, and this would be really nice with some pita chips or some pita bread, some toasted pita bread, tortilla chips. Also, any type of vegetable, carrots, celery, cucumbers, all of that would be good in here. Or, you know, be nice just as on the side dish too with everything that's in here, just eating it with a fork. So let's put that on the side and we'll get into our lab. So look, wow, look at all the dips we have so far. If you could see them, we've got 4 lined up and look at all those great colors. We have the red, green, and white with the black. We have the dark red, the white, and then we have the green with the corn and the black beans. So colorful. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about this last one that we're going to do too, because it's a little desserty. So let me get prepped for that. And this one is pretty easy too. This one we're going to use a blender. So far, you know, we were able to just mash that avocado by hand. We used the food processor for the muhammara, and this last one was layered. So just using different methods of bringing this all together. All right, so this last one, let me move this. I'll grab this. Okay. All right, so this one we're going to use our mixer. So let's adjust that there. Yeah. That's from in here from before. All right, so this is a chocolate fruit dip. So just a desserty dip, which isn't too bad. So we've made a few changes to lighten it up. The first thing we're going to do is I have a little bit of reduced fat cream cheese that's nice and soft and room temperature. And I'm just going to beat that until it's smooth. So just ignore the noise here for a second. Not going to take too long. Oh. Right. Then we're going to add our yogurt. And we have probably about 2/3 of a cup of plain Greek yogurt. So definitely need yogurt on your shopping list for this class. And then we're also going to add some cocoa, about 2 tablespoons. And I'd like the unsweetened cocoa. And then we're also going to have a little bit of powdered sugar in this as well. Just to give it a little bit of sweetness. And let's give that some time here. I'm just going to bring that all together. And this comes together real nicely. So you just want to bring it together at first and then scrape down the sides of your mixing bowl to get it all incorporated. So you want it to be all the same color here and well blended. It's coming together real nicely. Okay, so you can see the you can't see the consistency. Let me just adjust this a little bit. So you can see the consistency of the way it is on the whisk there. And I see just a little bit of chocolate still. So I'm going to bring that together. Also add a little, didn't want to add that all at one time. Okay, let's do this again. Up. And this is just a nice little desserty dip that you could serve with, fruit, maybe some graham cracker. Off of there. And I can see children maybe liking to dip Teddy Grahams into this or fruit or something like that. Little, tiny graham crackers. Let's get this moved over. All right, and let's just get a nice little bowl to serve this in. And this is beautiful. It just came together so nicely. Okay. That's such a nice consistency. Let's get this in there. And I would say, let me see here where my other cutting board is. I have some chocolate chips, or if you have, if you have minis, I just have some of the large chips with me today, but we'll go ahead and just give those a little chop. This would also be nice to have some shaved chocolate in it. There. And let's get our serving ideas from over here. For that dip, we could certainly have it with some strawberries or some mangoes on the side. We could put it, let's see here, get our little dish here. This with some fruit on the side. Even like I said, some crackers. We just move this aside here. Have our black bean avocado dip. We have our lemon caper dip. And then for that, we could have either some crostini, some chips, or muhammara. Also, crostini would go really well with that. And we could always do a couple of scallions on these. And last, we have our Mediterranean dip, which is really nice and colorful. So there you go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dips here. All nice Oh, nice little things that we could have to take with us to our summer celebrations. And let's talk about the health benefits for each again. Starting with the avocado and black bean. Let's just think about everything that's in there. We have the oleic acid, we have the good monounsaturated fats, we have the fiber from the black beans, also fiber from the avocado. I should mention that too, because don't forget, say for example, avocado is always going to have a net carb of 1. If it has 15 grams of fiber, or if it has 15 grams of carbohydrate in whatever serving you have, it's always going to have 14 grams of fiber. So an excellent source of fiber. The black beans are also an excellent source of fiber, excellent source of iron. And then we have our muhammara that has the red peppers, so you have the vitamin C there. We have the olive oil in that one as well. We had the pomegranate molasses in there, which also has some, some benefits in that pomegranates as well. And then we have our lemon caper dill dip, so we have all of that. We have the Greek yogurt in there. We have the fresh lemon juice, and we have fresh herbs, and olive oil, and we have the some walnuts in there as well, which are an excellent source of the omega-3 fatty acids, one of the main plant sources. Remember, the plant sources would be the chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and walnuts. And there is some in kale as well. But if you're not getting those fish sources, the plant sources are also an excellent source of those for you. Like I said, 1 serving, the amount that would fit in here, or let me find my quarter cup, 1/4 cup of the 1/4 cup. I'm looking for my measuring spoons. 1/4 cup of the nuts have the 2,300 milligrams, and 1 tablespoons of the chia seeds, hemp seeds, and flax seeds are also a good source of those omega-3 fatty acids. The American diet is typically higher in the omega-6 fatty acids, but the omega-3s have really good antioxidant qualities. They're good for our cardiac health, and they're also good for our brain health. Our next dip was the Mediterranean, the layer dip. We have the hummus in there, excellent source of fiber. Again, the olive oil. We have the yogurt in there, so we have that fermented dairy product, a good source of calcium. And then we have all the vegetables, so we know that they're loaded with vitamin C. I'm just thinking about what's in there. We have red pepper, we have artichokes, we have tomatoes and cucumbers, so definitely a lot of vitamin C, folic acid, vitamin A, just a great mix there. Lycopene as well. And then we have some olives on there for a garnish. Oh, nice. Again, that could be served with some baguette, some whole grain baguette, some pita chips, anything like that would go really nicely. And again, we did use the reduced version of the cream cheese for our dessert dip. But it's still, we cut half of that. Not only did we reduce the cream cheese, we added the yogurt in it too, to up the protein and to decrease the fat. So that is a really nice dip. And then we're going to put it with some nice fresh fruit. So I wanted to grill some kebabs today to put them on there. We just ran out of time, but we did grill the corn for our dip. Our avocado black bean dip, which looks really great. So I encourage you to try all of these. And remember, we had talked about, the weekends possibly derailing your plans because it is 42% of your total intake for the week, right? It's a little less than half. But remember, one day of a celebration is not going to make or break us, just like one day of intense exercise isn't going to give us all the benefits of exercise. It should be that, think of it as a 7-day rolling average, your intake. So, once you start a new day, that last day drops off. And it's that pattern that makes up how we present to the world, right? So whether we walk every day, whether we lift weights, whether we sit in a chair, whether we're eating fruits and vegetables, or we're eating fast food, that is all going to show up in our physical appearance, correct? So you want to make sure that you are making good choices most of the time. You could still afford to have a day in there if it's the exception and not part of your pattern. Sometimes it comes out in conversation when I'm interviewing people about their typical day. Well, I only have a donut once a week. And then I said, okay, well, maybe how often do you have ice cream? Oh, maybe once a week. How often do you have, something else, potato chips, whatever that might be, a bakery item, a store-bought, commercially baked item once a week. So if you're having all of these things once a week, it might turn out that you are having one of these treats 7 days a week, and that becomes part of your pattern. Stopping to, on our way, our morning commute, if we find that we're stopping at a coffee shop and getting a coffee that is, maybe high in sugar or high in calories on a daily basis, that becomes part of our pattern. So you have to be really careful about what kind of pattern you want to have, because those patterns do affect our long-term health and how we're going to go into that next stage, and how that aging process is going to show up for us. If we have things that are rich in the antioxidants, all of these foods are so antioxidant rich today, that they are going to clean up those free radicals in our body, and combat that oxidative stress process, to make us, more happy, alert, have energy, have that attention that we need to our daily, so we could be present for all those things that are important for us. So remember, it's making up those mindful choices on a daily basis, not eating things on the run, not eating things in our car, not eating things, mindlessly, not eating out of an open bag. We wouldn't want to, even though walnuts, somebody just told me recently, well, I'm eating walnuts, and I said, how many are you eating? I don't know. I snack out of the bag at night. Well, even a good thing like walnuts, even a good thing like fruit, too much of anything could still add up to a lot of calories, right? And at the end of the day, it is those the calories that we are consuming. So try to pay attention to portion size. Learn what the portion sizes are for our nuts, for the fruits, for the carbohydrates. Try to pay attention to the serving size per recipe and the nutrition per serving size, and try to use those as a suggestion, and then check in with yourself after you're done eating that serving size and see, well, that was the serving size, and I'm pretty good with that. And if I'm hungry, I'm hungry after that, what can I have, or what am I lacking? Where are the holes in my diet? So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited. I hope you like trying some of these recipes as much as I do. I think they will definitely be a nice addition to your summer celebrations. I know people will be happy to see you bringing something like this, versus some other things. So I encourage you to try them, enjoy them. If you need recipes, they are on the website. The link will be posted later today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, lz@laurazervos.com. And I hope you stay on the path to wellness. Have a great month. Thank you so much.